Hello, Magic players. First of all, I want to thank you for watching my long opinion videos. I really appreciate it. It really helps the channel. Want to give a shout out to Dismal Dante. He's got a method without using a jeweler's loupe or using a microscope, just an iPhone, to determine whether your cards are fake or not. So I need to definitely go in and make sure that the cards that I bought on eBay are real. Want to give out a shout out to Alpha Investments. I always appreciate how he talks about the stock market and compares it to collecting magic. He draws some really good conclusions, and it's helped me a lot. Then I want to talk about the MtG Marksman. Love his channel, and I follow, as I've said before, whenever reserve list cards are below 20 bucks and invest in them. I find that they're lower than what the market price says on eBay, and that's still in new mint condition. I try to buy everything in new mint as often as I can. They're not always in new mint when I get them, but they're close, right? Also, the cards have turned out to be cheaper than Magic the Gathering Collection Builder, this inventory program that I use. And I'm really loving that I get these cards into that program now because I can follow my collection just like the stock market. And for the first time today, I actually saw it go up. In general, my collection's been going down a small amount. Now it's mostly, probably the bulk of it is bulk. But the value of it's been going down with collectible market. But today, for the first time, I saw it go up. So it will definitely reach an inflection point, like Rudy says, and just go shooting up. And then we will have missed our chance to buy those reserve list cards for this low price that they are right now. I didn't see that for alpha and beta cards. I didn't see the prices going up on those. Those seem to be pretty much trending sideways right now for what I've looked at. Want to give a shout out to Dual Brain MTG. Love his channel. And he recommends buying the draft and collectors only. Or I'm sorry, he recommends, I had to figure out what my note was all about. He figures out that, or he has determined that Wizards of the Coast and Hasbro should just have draft boxes for the people who like playing cards, not anything fancy. And then collectors boxes only, and not the set boosters. They kind of double up, set boosters and collectors boosters. If you want to go collectible and you want all the fancy variations, just go to the collector's box, he figures, and I definitely agree with that. I'm surprised that people tend to watch the old core sets when I show the old core sets more than the regular sets like original Zendikar and original Innistrad. I'm not sure why that is. Maybe people have no experience with those sets or whatever. And I'm reaching the point where when I get past the Innistrad block and I get to Return to Ravnica block and Theros block, to where I played a lot of these cards and everything, and I have much less interest in playing those decks because I played them all before. I picked up a lot of those cards with starter decks and with boosters that were in those acrylic sets that Walmart and Target had and everything, where you get a bunch, as well as a lot of old starter decks were in there too. People tried to steal the promo card, and then the regular deck in the cellophane would be in those. So I picked up a lot of those stuff, and I have a lot of experience. So this is the point now where I will be going back, and the sets that I've shown, I will be building decks for them. And I was thinking about, first of all, laying out the cards in a mana curve, so you can see what the mana curve is for those particular sets. And then I'm trying to decide whether I'll pull them out of the sleeve so you can see the card better, or just leave it in the sleeve and just say, oh, well, I showed it without the sleeve once and now it's fine. And then I will be playing those decks against each other. I use a random method to determine which decks will play. I roll a dice, and then if it's a 1, then the red deck plays. If it's a 2, the green deck plays, and so on. I roll 2 dice, actually. And then, like, if two ones are rolled, then the red deck will play another set's red deck. So I kind of make it random how the battles come up. I also want to say that the story is very compelling right now in Magic the Gathering. I'm just loving this new Phyrexia stuff. I was actually tempted today. I already received my set booster box, and I'm tempted to open this stuff up, even though I haven't opened anything since right before Ikoria, and I still have my Ikoria draft box that I haven't opened, because the story is very compelling. And when the story is this compelling, it makes me want to play. And I want to talk also about how much better the story is than War of the Spark, which is probably my most popular, most favorite set since before this. In that there's real stakes for the Planeswalkers. Now, albeit all the Planeswalkers lost to Nicole Bolas back on Amonkhet, but there was really no consequence other than Jace lost his memory. None of them died or whatever. And then very few died in War of the Spark. But now they got a real enemy. There's a real enemy and everything seems hopeless. And this is what you need in a story, where it was kind of ridiculous, the story of War of the Spark. And I feel like they rushed it at the end, kind of like Game of Thrones, in that there's no way Nicole Bolas would beat all the Planeswalkers at once. That was just ridiculous to think that, you know. So it didn't seem like there was that much at stake or whatever. And of course, they only got rid of a couple Planeswalkers that nobody cared about. In this case, they got rid of some Planeswalkers we do care about. And it really draws us into the story. And it'll be really exciting to see these completed Planeswalkers attacking other planes under the thrall of the Phyrexians, and then seeing legendary creatures or whatever they're going to have battle them away on their plane. That's going to be really an interesting topic for future stories. And it'll be a way to visit all the planes. I hope they go back and visit the planes that we know very little about. There was an article, I believe it was by Mark Rosewater, online, where it talked about which sets took place on which planes, and then also which other planes were only mentioned and didn't have actually cards for them. So it'd be real interesting. This is a chance now for Wizards of the Coast to do what they did in Brothers War and go back and tell these stories and tell them right. And they can do a parallel time thing if they want or whatever. I'm cool with that. I think that works out pretty well. Also, I want to mention the comic books. If you want the backstory on Koth and Venser and Elspeth or whatever on Mirrodin that they're always alluding to in the story of Phyrexia All Will Be One, then online you can go back and read a whole bunch of comic books about that. And those are really good stories. Also, they have a Liliana versus Garruk story in there and how those two became at odds, which is really good. So there's a lot of reading to do that you can do for free. And when they sell millions of dollars worth of product, then they can afford to buy some good writers and some comic book illustrators. So go back and look at that. You paid for it, so definitely go back and look at that stuff. It's really interesting. And then let me know what you think. I'm really appreciating the comments too. Let me know what you think about how I'm going to do deck building and play testing. Is that something that's of interest to you? Are you interested in the sets beyond? Innistrad, like Return to Ravnica and Theros, and going into Battle for Zendikar, my first set that I started playing that was about, and sets like that. Are you interested in seeing the cards from those the way that I did, or would you like me to just stick to core sets? Is that something that people are more interested in? I kind of like to know. So thanks for everything. Let me just check my notes. I think that's everything I wanted to mention. So shouts out again to Dismal Dante, Alpha Investments, MTG Moxman, and Dual Brain MTG. Thanks, y'all. I appreciate watching your content. So a way that I'm different is I try to synthesize all the stuff that's being shown on YouTube right now by these different content creators. Thanks. Take care.